If I can move on to the Times' front page, again, Ella and James together. This is about schools must share sex education material with parents. Can I just say to everybody watching and listening, Victoria Atkins, the Treasury Minister, will be joining us very shortly. So when we know that, we'll go to her and we'll come back to the panel. So I might have to jump in very quickly because Victoria Atkins is talking about this today. What do you make of this story, Ella?
Well, Gillian Keegan, picked a good time, half-term, to send this quite important bit of information to schools saying that there's this row about essentially schools bring in external people to give classes on sex education at the moment. And that's partly because they don't have advice from the government about what to do in relation to RHSE. These private companies say you can't share our material because of copyright. Parents, rightly and understandably, are saying, no idea what you're talking to my kids about, no idea who these people are, they're not their teachers. What are you, there are things like reportedly talking about planet non-binary, a galaxy of genders, serious things like breast binders, which, I think a lot of people would say aren't age appropriate for the sort of youngsters who are being given this information. Anyway, it's a row, and Gillian Keegan is now saying that parents absolutely will have a right to see that information.
Now.
The question is, what happens? Are parents going to be allowed to pull their kids from certain classes? That doesn't seem to be a healthy relationship with school. Should schools get the last word? Should government get the last word? Should parents get the last word? This is an unholy mess.
Can I say something very... Sorry, I apologise. How many kids have you lot got?
One and brewing.
Right.
One.
And I'm not being knocked off course with this, and you might be really surprised. Too many parents in this country make an excuse for not parenting by blaming schools. I would absolutely 1,000,000% tell you that I have tried with all of my first four who are old enough and two more who are younger. I think parents abdicate their responsibilities a lot of the time. I absolutely believe you should know. But how many parents leave too much to schools to do? And you might be surprised I'm saying that. Of course I do. Of course I want transparency. But these parents will go, oh, but these teachers have done this. Why don't they know about it? Why don't they talk about their kids? Why don't they go to the school a bit more often and find out what's going on? That's my thing as a parent, seriously.
I think they are trying to do that, and these external companies are saying to them, well, particularly on this issue, but the lines are a little bit blurred on this issue because often the loudest voices on it are voices who are more likely, potentially, to be anti-LGBT.
No, the loud voices are the people that are coming in and trying to put that on the kids, I suspect. The parents are going, whatever, I don't know.
So I don't know an enormous amount about this issue, but there's one thing that Ella said that struck me, is that the government hasn't provided the curriculum properly to do this so that schools are going to private companies. Of course, the copyright argument is a stupid argument.
It's a myth,
and of course, parents should be able to see what their children are learning, what you're learning in history and geography and maths and whatever.
How many parents are interested? I'll make that point genuinely.
Not enough, and there should be more. But it does seem like... really, rather than saying you must release all of this stuff, which is fine, they should come up with a proper curriculum which people can
Absolutely, and it should be shared with parents so that parents can support that learning at home
Or if they
as well.
don't like the curriculum, have a fear, because what you're saying, which is right, when something like this is said, they're going to think the worst thing. There are undoubtedly parents who will say, I'm sorry, I'm not prepared at 6 or 7 for my kid. That's their right. But if they don't see it in black and white in terms of the curriculum, they're not going to know what to complain about or support.
Well, 6 and 7-year-olds aren't be taught.
There is a trust issue because, obviously as a parent, I think you expect schools to be able to... You don't say, I'd like to read every single line of the history curriculum because you would trust that teachers know best. And, you will have an interest in that doing homework and things like that. You get an insight, parents' evening and things like that. I think the problem is that schools have, in the opinion of lots, and mine included, really overreached in terms of RHSE and sex education, and are bringing in people who are talking about things like, things that are contentious in the outside world, outside
Can I give you a very
gender ideology and things like that.
Can I give you a very quick example? And it's just come to me, right? So my Oliver goes to nursery, and I'm 58 and I'm old-fashioned, so I drop him off at nursery. This is the other morning, I haven't told you this. And he says to me, as he always does when we get in the car, I need the loo. So when we get to school, he's 5 minutes early, so I knock on the door and I say, can he go to the toilet? Right? Now, you're going to tell me the mad world we live in. So I take him in to the toilet and stand there with him, well, because we're just learning about standing up and all that. It's 3.5, yeah? Woman says, you need to leave. Sorry? She said, you need to leave. I said, why? She said, because there could be some other kids in there. I went, it's 25 to 8, there's nobody else in here. Our rules say you can't be here. I can't be here with my own child who's having a wee in case... I make this point for a thing. I think, and I don't... a lot of people go, oh, teachers are a nightmare. I think there's too much written / not enough direction. And I think parents absolutely have a right to go, I don't want that or I do want that,
yes,
but they need it
but
written
that
down.
is obviously an overreach.
Couldn't take my own son to the toilet.
Yes, but that is an overreach in response to there having to be some sort of blanket rule about any adults being around any children, as I'm sure you wouldn't want him to be around.
But there's no flexibility.
It's a total breakdown of trust.
Yeah.
And I think that, you should... I think most people who go into working with children, whether it's teachers or nursery or childcare, don't go in because they love red lines and policy documents.
My vet used to be a nanny.
Because they love kids.
My wife used to be a nanny, and she says, honestly, I couldn't do the job now because you can't do this, you can't do that, you have to apologise for this, you have to fill out that form. But I'm not stupid, I'm sitting here thinking, if I was at home and Oliver and a 58-year-old man was in the... I get that, but there's no flexibility. What I'm talking about is maybe staff are paralysed, if you like, because there's so much said and written, and this seems to be another thing. For me, I would like to say that I would know what's going on with my kids' education. Maybe that's naive.
I feel sympathy for teachers on this one as well, because they're stuck, really, aren't they?
Well, a really important factor in this is that schools also haven't been given guidance by the government. They're still waiting in terms of what to do and what is the procedure of handling children that raise questions about their gender or want to transition or things like that. And it means that there's different things happening in different schools. Teachers don't know whether, silly but important things like pronouns and things like that. And it means that teachers get in a bind.
Victoria Atkins, if I could just say that Treasury Minister should be talking about that. We need to crack
And also for this to come from Gillian Keegan, who only a few weeks ago said, oh, we're going to ban mobile phones in schools, when it was actually already it was already up to the head teachers. They could ban them if they want to. We just wonder how this is actually going to be implemented.
She also said the porter cabins were cool. I had a go, and you said it was the best and happiest time of your career.
Look, I loved a porter cabin, but I don't think it's right.
James, I might have to cut you off.